Hey, it's Scott once again with great resources for coaches. And today I'm going to touch on a concept that I actually wrote about last week on the Friday written post. That post was called Dress for Success. And while I'm not going to just zero in on dress for success, I'm going to talk about the concept of being a professional. And there's so many things that we could talk about when we talk about people being professional. But my key point today in talking with you is that no matter what you consider to be, the concept of professional, make sure that you are working to be just that as a coach, as a leader of young people. There's such a wide array of ways that we can be professional. In my written post last week, I talked about how you dress, how you present yourself is a key to being professional. And so I talk in that written post, if you haven't seen it, it's last Friday's. And I talk in there about, we need to make sure that we're not looking, I'm going to use a, real slang term here, but looking like slobs when we're coaching. You see they've got this polo shirt on. This is the type of shirt I've always tried to coach in, whether it be practice or games. I just got done with a middle school basketball game this evening. And, so I wear this and a pair of slacks, and I'm not wearing gym shoes. I'm not wearing a, hat or, and then in outdoor sports, hat on backward. I'm not wearing a holy t-shirt. And I'm not saying that's what makes me professional, but that adds to the concept of being professional. But there's so many other elements of being a professional. How do you talk to kids? How do you talk to officials? How do you talk to people at the venue that you're in which you're playing? How do you talk to parents? Right? What about the documents that you hand out? What about your written, documents, your policy sheets and things like that? Are those done professionally? Do you even have them? Because that in and of itself would indicate maybe a lack of professionalism. How about practice plans? I've talked numerous times about practice plans and not just winging it, but talked about the concept of making sure that we have written plans. Well, that adds to professionalism. How do you handle your speech around other people? In other words, are you, swearing? Are you, inappropriate in what you say? What about political standpoints and views? While we all are allowed to have a political viewpoint, as leaders, as teachers, as coaches, we gotta be really careful about how much we express that. For 30 plus years, 18 years in the classroom and 30 plus years as a coach, I've had to really temper myself. And some might say, well, then you're not being yourself. No, I'm generally kind of middle of the road to begin with, but I also realize that I've got kids who feel one way and I've got kids who feel another way. I've got parents who feel one way and parents who feel another. I don't want to alienate any of them. So that's part of my professional decorum, that I am going to do what I can to make sure that I don't let that enter into it. What about your biases, prejudices, things like that? There's all kinds of elements that enter into this concept of being a professional. And so when we sign on to be a coach, when we sign on to be a leader of people, one of the key elements is that we act professionally at all times. Yes, you can goof around. Yes, you're human. You're going to make mistakes. But when you do, own up to them. Do what you can to recognize it, and then do what you can to acknowledge it to others, and then fix it and make yourself, be better the next time. And so please, the coaches, let's make sure that we're doing all we can to be as professional as we possibly can. It's a lot more than just wearing certain clothes. While that can be part of it, there's a lot more to it. So being a professional comes with the territory, and it's up to all of us to recognize the importance of acting professionally and speaking professionally so that we are professional in what we do. All right. I hope that this is something that you consider. I'd love to hear your comments. Maybe I'm off base on this. Maybe it's something that I'm kind of being the professional police or whatever, and we don't need it. But I really think we do. I always have, and I think it's something that needs to be addressed for all of us as coaches. Thanks a lot for listening. We'll talk to you again next week.